Hey guys, Sean Phillips here, that brand new DVD Blu-ray Tuesday Shambler today. They're gonna go out to things going today, few things are on sale. Of course though, Black Friday starts, this Thursday. But last year around this time, they ended up putting out a bunch of the stuff at, Best Buy already. And like, there was already like all the stuff like movie-wise was pretty much out. And some of the things were already on sale and stuff. So definitely gonna go and see if that's going on this year. I don't know if it's gonna be like that. I don't think any of the other stores as I remember had the movies and stuff out. But of course though, those wondering though, I am doing a Black Friday video on Thursday as well. And Black Friday starts pretty much at like 5 p.m. So I'll have a video up, Friday morning really early, so definitely stay tuned for that. Also want to let you guys know that now available are some new films from producer David Sterling. There's 3 different ones that are available now. Two of them are new, and one of them is a movie that has never been released in the past, as far as I know. The newest one though is Things 4, which is a series film in the series of Things films, and Things is like an anthology film. And this one, though, what's pretty cool is, in this movie, I have a part in one of the segments along with Luna Meow and Danny the Cinestalker. So we're all in this party scene. It's actually a really fun movie. I finished watching this last night. And then there's also It Kills, which is the 7th in the Camp Blood film series, and this one is about a group of these kids that end up breaking down or get lost in one area, and of course the Camp Blood killer clown guy is out there, and they're all getting like picked off and stuff. And if you guys know from YouTube, Kai Rappaport, he has a part in this one. He was actually really funny in this, like his part. It's actually a really fun slasher movie, probably one of my favorite of this Camp Blood sequels that I've seen. And this one here is a movie called Scream Queens, which is a Linnea Quigley movie, which had never been released in the past as far as I know, so that one's finally available. But all these ones you guys can order from David Sterling, and you can message him on Facebook if you guys are interested. I'll put a link though below if you guys are interested in checking these ones out and messaging them about these. But also, like I always, there'll be some new DVD and Blu-ray reviews at the end of this video, so definitely stay tuned for those. But anyway though, guys, let's get going and see what we can find today. Into Target we go. But today, release-wise though, the one movie that I would say is my top favorite movie of the year, Good Time released. I don't know if it's going to be one that's going to be available everywhere. I'm definitely going to check today, for the video, but that's one of those ones I would highly recommend you guys check out. Love that movie so much. It's such an amazing movie. And in here, though, they do have some of these titles put out already. These are the things that are going to be Black Friday titles. These ones are all $6. It seems to be mainly like holiday titles, and like these ones are just randomly on here. I don't think those ones are part of this deal here, but like all these ones seem to be like holiday kind of Christmas type movies and stuff for $4 to some of these. Back here though are some of the newer ones, and these ones are already on sale for $9. They like John Wick 2, but it's only the DVD. But there are some Blu-rays in here like Split and Jurassic World, Bad Moms, Girl on the Train. All these ones are already $9, and I don't know what these are going to go to price wise on actual Black Friday, but like I said though, I'm definitely doing a video, so definitely be sure to check out that one and see all that. But they have other things out as well. These are all the things that they take these covers off on actual Black Friday, and it's like kind of like clothing and all that kind of stuff in these. But you can see like they've already got some of them out. And in here though, I don't see Good Time, but I believe too on actual Black Friday someone said that that's when they're selling the 4K edition of Stranger Things. But release wise today, the big things that came out, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, was I actually really like this movie. It was the same director who did The Fifth Element, but the 4K of that one is $24.99. And then they have the Hitman's Bodyguard, which is was actually a fun one as well. I'm going to talk about this at the end of this video, and the 4K of that is $24.99. This one, Birth of the Dragon, released. I did not see that one. Let me know how that one was. And the other one that came out today too was the Daniel Radcliffe movie Jungle. So another one, I'll have a review of that one at the end of this video. But there's definitely no shortage of these Stranger Things Blu-rays though, because see, like, look at how many of them are here. All these are Stranger Things here, and then on the back there's this many as well. And it's funny, I thought these things were like limited at first. I think a lot of people did, but there's definitely quite a few of these ones in here. Into Walmart we go. In here though, their edition of Hitman's Bodyguard is $24.99, and so it seems like Target and Walmart both have that, as well as Valerian for $24.99 for the 4K. And they have some kind of exclusive Valerian thing here that has like a mini art of the film book in here. Seems to be one that's like with the Blu-ray of that. Other than that in here though, they do have Good Time here. This is the one, like I said, is absolutely a must-see movie, amazing movie. They only seem to have the DVD of that one, but to see if Best Buy has the Blu-ray. And then they have Jungle here as well, and that one's $14.99. That one's, like I said, starring Daniel Radcliffe, as well as this one, Saving Christmas, and I'm going to have a review of that one at the end of this video, as well as this one, High School Lover. You know, it's a Lifetime movie that stars James Franco, which I actually really like this one. This one's missing. I'm not sure what was there though. Other than that though, I think that's all of the major things in here today, because you know this section doesn't get changed out until the first, you know, Tuesday of each month. So this is always pretty much the same stuff, you know, in here. But I didn't see any stuff, you know, already put out in there for Black Friday. I didn't even see like a whole lot of stuff like all throughout the store, kind of like in Target, you know, the stuff, you know, wrapped up and stuff already that they're going to put out. One of the movies that came out today that I was interested in seeing, but it doesn't look like it's going to be one that's going to be sold in any stores, is that movie called Beach Rats. If you guys have seen that one, let me know though how that one is, because it looked kind of interesting. And this past weekend I saw a couple different films. The first one I saw was Wonder, which is about a kid who has a facial deformity and he's going to school for the very first time, because he's only ever been homeschooled and he's going to 5th grade, first time in any, you know, public school or anything. And it's kind of him and dealing with like the way kids kind of treat him in school and like the bullies and all that kind of stuff. It was a really, really well done movie. It's very sad though. It's one of those movies where you kind of like get like teary throughout the whole movie, kind of like a movie like Bicentennial Man, where there's like sad stuff throughout the whole film, but really well done movie. The other one I saw was Lady Bird, and that one's got like, I think it's still got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like all the reviews have been positive for it, and I did think it was a very, very well made, well written movie. I wouldn't say it's 100% absolutely perfect all around, like, you know, where it would be like an absolute 100% like the best movie ever. It kind of was reminding me like of a mixture between the movie Saved and then mixing that together with The Edge of 17. It was kind of like those two kind of combined into one, that same type of feel, because it was a girl in a Catholic school, and it was just sort of like her in her last year of school and like kind of her problems and stuff at home and trying to get into a better school and kind of move away from her family. And it was kind of, that was sort of what it was, trying to move out of California, and she wants to go to like New York and stuff and see if she can get in there. But it was actually really well done and everything. The other one that I saw was the Justice League. That one's got some really mixed reviews, and I will say I do agree with that. It wasn't absolutely perfect at all, and there was some cool stuff about it, but I didn't love it too much. I mean, it was one of those ones, I think it was the shortest superhero movie in a really long time, at least, you know, because I think it was a little under 2 hours, and taking out the credits, I think the movie is probably only about an hour and like 50 minutes or so. But it was a fun movie, but not like perfect at all, especially because like Wonder Woman, I feel like is probably one of the top superhero movies of all time. That was just such a well-made movie. Absolutely love Wonder Woman so much. You know, Wonder Woman character, of course, is in this movie. I felt like she was still really cool and probably some of the best stuff, and I also really like the Flash character in this one a lot. I hope they, you know, end up doing that standalone Flash movie. I know there's going to be the standalone Aquaman movie. He, I felt like, was a little underused in this movie. But the one thing with this movie though, and I thought was like a real negative, was like the first one in a long time too, where I feel like the CGI got so insanely overused, especially like the end of this movie. It was just so, it kind of had the same feel of the Fantastic Four reboots ending, where it was like became a whole CGI everything, and it was kind of like, I don't know, I kind of took away from it, because some of it was good, but some of it was not amazing at all. But let me know below what you guys thought of those movies, if you guys saw any of these, you know, this past weekend, and what you guys thought of those ones. Well, into Best Buy we go, but I have to walk around the other way, because you see people have already put the tents out. They're already camped out already for Black Friday. Yeah, I don't know what the huge big deals are, you know, this Black Friday. You know, like usually electronics and stuff, but as you can see, there's already the tents and stuff. Every time I see these tents though, I kind of think of like Mr. Bean, where he put like a blow up doll thing inside of there and he wasn't really in them. I do wonder if that's like the case sometimes. People just do that to kind of hold their place. And in here today, though, they do have some exclusive editions. Like they have exclusive steelbook here for Hitman's Bodyguard, and that one's $24.99. It seems to be only for the Blu-ray edition. It doesn't seem like there's a 4K steelbook of that one, but there's also a steelbook, exclusive steelbook for Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets, and that one's $24.99 as well. And that's the same way with this one. Seems to only be for the Blu-ray edition. They do have the Daniel Radcliffe film Jungle here. And then other than that, though, this one released today, this one Leap, which I don't know a whole ton about this movie. Let me know, though, how that one was if you guys have saw that. It doesn't seem like anywhere has that one Beach Rats, but they do have in here Good Time. So this is definitely a good place to come for this one. Like I said, highly, highly recommend this one. Definitely my top favorite movie of the year, at least one of them. Is still, the year still has to, a couple other things coming out as well that are going to be some bigger releases, but definitely one I would recommend you guys check out. And as you can see in here, though, they do have a lot of the Black Friday stuff out, the titles. It doesn't look like, though, any of them have the sales on them yet, I don't think. You can see, though, this is pretty much all the movies that are going to be out. But since they don't have the sale prices on them and stuff, I'm not even going to bother looking at them yet, because like I said, I'm doing the video, so I kind of want to save it and see it then, because there's no price down on any of these. Because last year there seemed like there was. They were a little cheaper for some reason. This year, though, it doesn't seem to be the case because there's no signs or anything out yet. So I'm going to save these, though, for actually on Thursday. So stay tuned, for that Black Friday video, and I'll go through all this stuff, though. So anyway, though, guys, that's all for this DVD Blu-ray Tuesday shopping video. Like I always say, guys, enjoy these shopping videos. Definitely give this video a thumbs up. Now stay tuned now for some couple new DVD and Blu-ray reviews. And before we get on to the reviews, Comet TV, you guys can find out about it on CometTV.com. But they're a channel. You guys can stream it online on some cable providers and stuff as well. It's actually an official channel you can go to as well. But they play all kinds of like horror movies, science fiction movies, like things like The Video Dead, Howling 2, Creature. But they sent over these cool promo items. This like ketchup squeeze bottle that says Comet TV. This one that has an alien on it. They have like little gummy organs here, as well as like these vampire teeth that you can I think that are like wax. This bag of blood. The one thing though that's really cool is a Teen Wolf t-shirt here in the Teen Wolf font. This thing is really cool. It's like in the font that's on the poster. But just want to let you guys know about that. Like I said, you can check out the link to find out about them. But now on to the reviews. The first one I got here from Scream Factory, Shop Factory, Scream Factory line, is the brand new collector's edition of Misery. This is like such a great movie. Kathy Bates is absolutely amazing in this. Like the character she plays in this is so crazy because it's starring James Caan, and he's like this writer, and it's sort of like he's kind of basic, it's a story from Stephen King. It's almost like something that could have happened to Stephen King. He always goes out to the mountain, James Caan's character, to kind of get away and write his new book. He goes out there one day, gets into a terrible accident, goes off the road because it's all snowy, and Kathy Bates ends up, finding him out there and taking him back to her cabin, and then he wakes up in there. And he's all bandaged up because his legs were all screwed up. And she's like, "Oh, it's good to see you. I can't believe you're in my house. I'm such a huge fan of yours. I love you." And, he comes to realize that this is not a great situation, that he's in the house with this woman, because Kathy Bates is, like, really nuts and, like, pretty much stalker, a total stalker of this guy, too, because she, like, is obsessed with everything he's writing. And, and she's like, "Well, the roads are closed. No one can get in. You'd be better staying here with me, and I can help take care of you." And it's kind of like what's going on here when he, getting taken care of by her, and you kind of come to realize throughout this movie that this is not a good situation and what is going on here, and it just gets crazier and crazier with what's going on with Kathy Bates, and Kathy Bates is like trying to, interfere with everything with his writing, and it's just such an amazing movie. It's one of these movies that I feel like you can watch it again and again and again. I've watched this movie so many times, but on here though, it has the brand new 4K restoration transfer in here from the original film element. Looks absolutely great. And then feature-wise, it has a new interview here with director Rob Reiner, interview with the special effects makeup artist Greg Nicotero, and then the features from the past release as well. But just a really, really great movie if you guys have never seen that one, and a great new addition. This one here, I'm so glad this finally has got a really good, transfer release, because the original Blu-ray that came out years back, it was like taken from a DVD and just did not look great at all. This is definitely like a huge improvement, looks amazing here. And this is, you know, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I always love these, you know, Christmas slasher movies. The other one was Christmas Evil, which was another classic one as well. I think that came out, like, I don't know if that was before or after this, because this is around this time they started making a lot of these kind of Christmas movies, and they made a lot of Silent Night sequels, Silent Night, Deadly Night sequels. I kind of liked all the sequels. The second one, though, was weird because like 60% of the movie was footage from the first movie. But this movie is about this kid, you know, he witnesses his parents getting killed by this Santa, and it's like he kind of gets cracked up and he goes to the orphanage. And it's like the woman who's the head nun at this orphanage is like crazy, and she's like abusive and always yelling at him, and she's like a really great character. She's really scary. And it's him, you know, years later he's working, you know, when he's like, you know, I think he's like 18, 19, he's working at this like toy store, kind of like kind of hardware toy store kind of place, and like he ends up having to fill in one night as the Santa, and it's kind of him cracking up when he has to put on this Santa costume, and it becomes of him going around the town killing people. It's just like a crazy like deaths in this movie. You know, Linnea Quigley's in this movie, and it's kind of like just him kind of cracking up throughout this movie. It's just a really great movie. And like I said on here, though, it has the theatrical version of the movie in HD. It also has the unrated version. The unrated one, though, the gore effects and stuff like that are in standard definition. But if you know, so it's, you know, cuts between for inserts and stuff, they're not in HD because they couldn't find those pieces. But still looks great, and you know if you guys don't want to see that version, you can watch the theatrical one. And the thing is, like I said, it's so good about this now is finally too, it's in actual like great quality, because the original one, like I said, was not. It was in this you know, terrible, like just basically taking a DVD and converting it to Blu-ray. But an amazing movie here, and it has on here though a feature, you know, making of on here with interviews with the writer on here, the producer. There's also, as well as Linnea Quigley, there's a thing on here showing the filming locations then and now, a commentary track on here, but just a really great release and a really great Christmas like slasher film, and just a great slasher film all around. The next one here from Lionsgate is the 4K release of the Hitman's Bodyguard, and I saw this one in theaters as well, and I love Samuel Jackson and Ryan Reynolds together. There's something, they both have similar personalities because they can both go kind of crazy, kind of over the top, kind of like personas, and together, like, I don't know, there's something about it that I really loved, and they both kind of like play off each other really well in this movie. And it's, you know, Ryan Reynolds' character is like he was a really high-class bodyguard. He guarded, like, you know, dignitaries, but something ends up getting screwed up, and one day one of his clients ends up dying, and he ends up pretty much demoted, and he's just sort of doing like basic security and basic like things like that. And one day though, his friend needs help because she has to guard Samuel Jackson's character, who's this hitman who needs to go and testify at court, and something ends up happening, and he ends up having to take over. And there's some reasons why too. He doesn't want to have to be guarding Samuel Jackson. You kind of find out throughout this movie, but it's sort of him trying to guard, like sort of having to guard each other, because Samuel Jackson has people coming after him from the people that he's supposed to, you know, be testifying against. You know, and the guy he's testifying against is Gary Oldman, because Gary Oldman's character has, you know, done some really terrible stuff, and it's kind of them trying to get to the location, and why they're having all these people kind of coming after them, as well as them having like banter back and forth, all kinds of problems and disagreements, and not really liking each other at all. But looks great on 4K though. This is just, I like, you know, and like I said, the big thing with 4K is the HDR, the high dynamic range, which is all the contrast levels and the brightness levels. And this is just a fun movie. I absolutely love this movie. It's just like it's not a movie you take serious or anything like that, just a fun kind of action comedy. But it has on here tons of features. It has outtakes, deleted scenes, extended scenes, alternate scenes, as well as some featurettes on this one, as well as a commentary track. The next one here, and this is a movie that aired on Lifetime, and I have to say, Lifetime is really, the quality of their movies is going up so much lately. I've seen quite a few of them lately. This movie particularly felt like something that could have actually played in theaters, because there's been movies like this that have actually played in theaters, and this is a movie starring James Franco called High School Lover. And I have to be honest though, I really got into this movie, and I love James Franco's character in this movie, but it's basically James Franco is a DP on films and stuff, and works with all kinds of celebrities, and his daughter though, one day, his daughter who was 17 and like a senior in high school, ends up meeting this actor who's like a really famous actor, kind of like somebody like sort of like a Zac Efron, like a really big popular type that kind of everybody knows. But this guy is like 26, so he's a lot older than her, and he ends up meeting her, and then as well as her friends, and they kind of all go out, and she starts to kind of have this fling with this 26-year-old, and James Franco is like, this is really weird. He doesn't like what's going on here and doesn't want her seeing her, this guy, because of how much older he is. But there's also this guy is really clingy and really strange, and he's like texting her and being really odd, and if she's like talking to any of her friends, he's like, why weren't you getting back to me? And why weren't you doing this? And she's like, well, I was at school and I was doing this. And he's like, why'd you do this? And like he basically is just getting weirder and weirder and clingier and stranger. But at the same time, she doesn't really want to let this guy go because he's popular, and she can't believe that, he's getting, she's getting attention from this guy. And James Franco has to kind of deal with all this stuff that's going on as well with the daughter, and try and deal with the fact that she's dating this older guy. And it's just, the whole thing is very strange. But I really got into this one. Like I said, a Lifetime's movies quality has really been going up lately. I feel like that's really where a lot of they're really putting a lot more like budget into the films and stuff. The next one here from Lionsgate as well is a movie called Acts of Vengeance, and this is another one. There's been a lot of Antonio Banderas movies. Black Butterfly, Lionsgate released as well. I really liked. This one is probably one of my favorites that I've seen recently. Carl Urban is in this movie as well. This is a movie, though, it's basically, though, about Antonio Banderas' character. He's like this lawyer who's like big on getting people out of cases who have like committed murders and bad things, and he's like kind of one of those kind of lawyers who can get people out of anything and kind of twist the words around and stuff. And the one day he's supposed to be going to his daughter's play, but he gets stuck at work, and he's like, he promised his daughter he's going to be there, but his wife is at the play there seeing the daughter, and he gets there late, so the daughter and the mom leave, and they went to dinner and stuff, and he's like, they're not texting him back and stuff, so he's like really getting paranoid. But it turns out like that night the daughter and the wife have been killed, and it's kind of him finding out about this, and he's like blaming himself for that he wasn't there, and he becomes extremely depressed about the whole thing and just in a terrible state because of this. And it's kind of him going to the police trying to say, do you have any leads? Have you figured anything out? Do you have any idea who this is? And he's always there all the time, and like he becomes sort of so depressed because of this, and he finds out about this like underground fight club that's going on in the bar next to the cops, to the prison that he's at, goes to and checks in on the police station, and he gets basically gets himself pummeled to a pulp because he thinks that it's kind of his penance for what he's done, and he comes up with a plan that he's going to not speak until he can figure out who was behind the murder of his wife and his daughter, and it's kind of him doing anything he can to try and find that person. I don't know. I really love this movie. I thought that Carl Urban was really good in this movie. I don't know. I like this. I thought this was a really well done kind of like revenge. Obsessively trying to figure out who was the person behind the murder of them. I don't know. I really like this one a lot. This has on here though a featurette on the on this movie as well. The next one here I got from Lionsgate is a movie called Saving Christmas, and this stars Ed Asner. This one is definitely more of a kids film here, but I feel like it was actually a pretty fun movie though. It's basically though about this kid who really believes in Santa and is really into Christmas and the whole holiday thing and everything, but kids at school are giving him all kinds of problems and like making fun of him for believing in Santa and stuff. So he kind of comes with this idea along with his friends that they want to go and prove without a doubt that Santa Claus is actually real, and they want to actually find him, and they're kind of asking around the town trying to see what other adults and stuff know about Santa and stuff. But then this one woman accidentally says, Santa lives in she says that he lives in the town, and she kind of gave away this secret. So it turns out Santa is actually in this town. He's kind of in disguise in the town, and then Patrick Maldron's character actually is kind of like the PR kind of social media kind of director for Santa Claus, but like it's kind of the kid trying to, when he finds out that Santa's in this town, trying to go around and ask people and figure out if they know anything and kind of follow the clues and try and figure out exactly, where Santa is and who he is so they can kind of get the proof here. But like I said, this is definitely more of a film for kids, but it's definitely, though, a fun movie here. The next one's here, though, one that you guys know, Warner Brothers sent over these ones for free to let you guys know about. And these are, I think it was like a few months back, the last four episode, are year 5, 6, 7, and 8 released and on 4K, and now the first four films have released on 4K, and the Harry Potter films. And the first one is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and then Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I had not watched these movies, especially the first movie, in such a long time. So that was one I was really glad to get to see again, because I don't think I had seen the first one since it, released, probably like the first time on DVD. And I remember too, when this one first came to DVD, it was one of those DVDs that had like all those kind of features where it was like you go into like a room, it was like a room that had like the paintings and stuff on it, and then you could like there was like hidden things in there. I kind of missed that when they had like hidden features and stuff. You had to like do codes and stuff to try and find them and stuff. But all these movies though look definitely, great on 4K. If you guys have 4K, definitely would recommend them. But I just want to let you guys know that these ones are available, and they have, all the features from the past Blu-ray releases on them. They include, the 4K disc and then the old Blu-rays from the past release of these editions here. But definitely cool, these ones have now finally all been released on 4K. There's also a set available as well, and has all of them together in it. This one Warner Brothers sent over for free as well, and this is one I just want to let you guys know is available. And this is Gilmore Girls: A Year in Life, and this is I only saw a few episodes of Gilmore Girls years back. I remember too when I went on like the Warner Brothers tour, I believe I saw like some of the locations of it. I don't know if I even saw some of when they were actually filming it. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. But the mother in this though, she's Laura Graham though, is on the newest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's really great in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She always plays like lots of moms and stuff in movies, and then like kind of does some like kind of crazy like kind of characters as well in like weird, like I think she's in the first Bad Santa movie, and I'm pretty sure. But this is just following the characters now after I think it was 10 years that the show had been gone. But if you guys are interested, this one is available on here, and this has it's a 2-disc set with all the episodes. And this show airs on originally was aired for Netflix. The next one here from Broad Green Pictures is a movie called Crown Heights. This movie is based on a true story. It's basically though about this guy, this is set in 1980, and it's this guy he's done some bad stuff though, like he's committed some crimes like stealing some cars and stuff like that, but he's out one night and these cops see him on the side of the road, and they end up arresting him, saying that, that he has been identified, that someone had saw him in a picture and pointed him out and saying that he was, involved in killing someone. And they end up saying, that pretty much telling him, we know that you did this, it was you, confess to it, say for sure that it was you. And he doesn't want to say that. He's like saying, this is not me, I did not do this, I had nothing to do with this, I don't know why you're thinking this is me, I don't know who this person is that said that I did this and why they said this. And you kind of find out more about all this as the movie goes along. And it's dealing with his brother though, who is, after the guy gets arrested, his brother is trying to do anything he can to get him, taken out of jail, and saying that he had nothing to do with this. And it's kind of like all the stuff that he goes through when he's in jail, and it deals with all the stuff like these corrupt cops too, and the kind of stuff that they're doing when they kind of like pretty much know that he did not do this, and the stuff that they're up to. And it's all this terrible stuff that goes on with this guy, and it's about trying to get him out of jail, and all the kind of stuff that the brother goes through about trying to prove the case, and trying to anything he can to get his brother out of jail. It's a very well done character piece here. And like I said, this is based on a true story. This has on here though a commentary track on here with the director on this one, as well as the producer, and then as well a feature on here about the true story, what this was based on as well on here. The next ones here are all from Gravitas Ventures. This one is going to be in Redbox. I believe it's actually in Redbox today, I think is the first day it goes in there. And it's a movie called RYDE. This is one I was really interested in seeing. I really got into this movie. This one I liked a lot. This is about, it's all about kind of like a car service, sort of like Uber. And this weird guy who's wearing like an EMT shirt, he goes on this Uber and he ends up killing the Uber driver, and then he takes his phone and killing the ride driver, because that's what they call the ride service in this. But he kills the ride driver and ends up using his phone and then going around and like picking up people, and then it's kind of him, and he like kind of picks and chooses. Some people he goes, well, they're okay, I'll let them go, and other people he goes and kills. So it's kind of all in one night, all of these kind of crazy things that he's doing. And then like it also deals with this character, this one woman with her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is really strange and he's giving her all kinds of problems, and you kind of know at some point they're going to probably end up with connecting to this this ride driver, because they kind of show him quite a bit throughout the movie and stuff. But I really got into this movie. There was some really crazy like deaths and stuff in this as well. Like it really goes kind of like insane, some of what's going on. This like guy who's driving this ride car around is totally like relentless and like totally insane. I really like this. I don't know. I thought this was actually a cool concept as well. I think they might have made like another movie kind of like this as well that's coming out in the future, because it definitely is kind of a creepy thing when you think about it, because you really don't know sometimes like who, when you get in these cars, you really don't know. The next one here is from Gravitas Ventures as well. This is one called Aliens Zone of Silence, and this was like a found footage movie. It's about like this one girl whose brother had gone missing with her friends, in Mexico. They went in the desert, kind of like they were doing like a show, trying to do like an alien kind of pilot show for YouTube, like seeing about aliens, and they found this, believe this one area had like a lot of UFO kind of activity and stuff in it. So they end up going out there, and they totally vanished. And so the sister ends up like trying to go and kind of retrace the steps of where the brother went. So she has all these cameras and stuff. She's trying to film the whole thing, and it kind of cuts back and forth and kind of parallels between the sister like looking for the brother and then like the footage of what the brother was seeing, and it's like all kinds of like weird type of stuff that's happening out there in this area, like dealing with like things like weird sounds and all kinds of creepy stuff out there. It was a pretty good found footage movie here. The next one here, and this is a cool documentary, because I've always been a fan of Gilbert Gottfried. This is a documentary about his story called Gilbert, and like I've always been a fan of Gilbert Gottfried ever since I was a kid, because I remember Problem Child. Problem Child is always like one of my favorite movies. So like as a kid, I always like really was a fan of him, and he was in like I think it was like It Takes Two and a couple other movies and stuff that I remember always watching as a kid, because I was a fan of Gilbert Gottfried, especially him in Problem Child 2. He was real crazy in that, and like he also did the voice in Aladdin. And this is kind of like showing about his life, and it talks to like a lot of other comedians about him, and talks about like kind of the controversies he's gone through in his life, because sometimes with some of the jokes he's made, it's kind of cost him jobs, and he's had some ups and downs, and it shows about stuff with him, with his money, and how like he, lives a much smaller life than people would think and stuff. It's a very, very well done documentary following him around and stuff about his life. And if you guys are fans of Gilbert Gottfried, though, definitely would be one I would recommend you guys check out. It has on here, though, a commentary on here with the director, as well as Gilbert Gottfried, and as well as deleted scenes on here, but just a really, really well done piece about Gilbert Gottfried. The next one here from Universal this is a show that aired, I believe it was on HBO. It aired, and it's a documentary called The Defiant Ones, and this is about Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine, and it was about the kind of all the music that they had worked on together, and all of the artists that they worked with, because they worked with so many different artists, and it's all about kind of the career and like because they were kind of different kind of people working together, and it was all about like because they came from different kind of musical backgrounds and stuff, and it was sort of them kind of how popular too Dr. Dre had gotten, and how he was kind of like always, and still today is like the go-to person for the beats and for music and stuff. And it's kind of has like Eminem in here interviewed, Ice Cube, Gwen Stefani, Tom Petty, Snoop Dogg, Bono, tons of different people on here. But a really cool documentary here if you guys are interested in checking this one out. The next one here from Blue Underground. This is a movie that I remember really loving this movie, and it was cool to watch this again. And it's a underrated Bob Clark movie called Deathdream, and it's about this guy who goes away to war and ends up dying, but he somehow has come back to life, and he's going, and I feel like this movie too might have slightly inspired that movie, My Boyfriend's Back from the Dead, a little bit, and it's Bob Clark, though, the director of this, is really known for directing Black Christmas and the Porky's films, and I think his biggest movie, most known was Christmas Story. But this is, like I said, called Deathdream, and it's basically, though, the guy who comes back, and he's like comes back from the dead after the war, and he's like surviving by going around and like taking syringes and sucking blood out of people and injecting himself. It's a really insane movie, and it's such a cool. It's also pretty sad too. The whole vibe of this movie, the war aspect to it and everything. But it has on here though a commentary track on here with Bob Clark, as well as a thing on here with Tom Savini talking about the early years. It has an interview here with the star on here, as well as an interview with the production manager. So lots and lots of different features on here. A really, really great release for a really seriously underrated Bob Clark movie. Probably like, I don't know. The thing with Bob Clark though is he's such a one of like those top missed people, because he passed away in a terrible car accident with his son years back. But I remember too, like it was so sad too, because at that point too he was going to be just getting ready, like weeks away from reshooting or making a remake of his own film, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, and he had all these projects in the works and stuff. So it always really upset me, because like I really loved the stuff he did. He had a crazy sense of humor, especially with the Porky's films, and like I don't know, just this really one I really recommend you guys check this out. Love this one here. And the next ones here are from Momentum Pictures through E1, and this one here is called Jungle. This stars Daniel Radcliffe, and the director of this one did the Wolf Creek films, Greg McLean. He also did The Darkness. I always really like his stuff. I believe he did the Belko Experiment. This is not a horror movie though. It's a different kind of like thriller drama film. It's about Daniel Radcliffe and it's actually a true story, going out to the jungle in South America. And it's like, it's him and two friends that he meets out there, and they end up meeting this guide who's like, oh, if you come out here, you really got to go to the jungle. You got to see this one area that hardly anyone have been to. Then we kind of reminded me of the Lost City of Z a little bit, and it's like them going out there with this guide, but it's kind of like he doesn't really seem like he knows what he's doing, this guide. There's a lot of confusion, and then like bad things are starting to happen, and then the one guy has like things that happen with his feet, and they're having a lot of problems out there, and also having a lot of disagreements and all kinds of stuff. And it comes to the point though of them sort of trying to figure out, because of the way things are going, how they're going to survive out there and how they're going to get out of this whole situation that they're in, because none of them are prepared for what they're going through. The guide has no clue what's going on, but all three of them too, the guys that go out there with this guy, don't have any real experience in any of this as well. So they have no real survival skills or anything like that. So it's them trying to survive out there in this terrible situation, but really actually pretty well done and very different movie for the director. It has on here though a making of, a featurette on here talking about Daniel Radcliffe becoming the character that he plays in this, as well as cast and crew interviews. The next one here is a movie starring Josh Hartnett called Six Below, Miracle on the Mountain. This is from Momentum Pictures as well. And I'm glad that Josh Hartnett is back doing movies again, because I think from like there was a number of years that he kind of like had taken a break from acting, and like I always was a fan of him, so I'm kind of glad that he's now back doing stuff again. But this is him playing, and this is another one that's a true story. He plays this snowboarder who had like some drug problems and things like that, and he was sort of trying to get off of drugs, but at the same time he was like, he kept on relapsing and things like that. So one day though he ends up going out, snowboarding out, and he goes on the regular kind of trails and stuff that people go to, but he ends up going off the trail in this area that's not marked and is like not manned by the place that he goes to, and he ends up getting himself kind of lost out there because he snowboards down the hill, and it's kind of him out there, with not any really supplies or anything, not even the proper clothes to be out there in overnight, and it's sort of him trying to figure out how he's going to survive out there. And it kind of flashes back throughout this movie to him kind of thinking back at his life and thinking about things that happened with his family and things that kind of had gone wrong, and the things with the drugs and everything. But a really well done like survival story of him out there kind of going through all the kind of problems that are happening to him. This one has on here behind the scenes cast and crew interviews on this. This one here is from Screen Media, and it's a movie called Temple. And this is from the writer of Simon Barrett, who wrote, You're Next, the newest Blair Witch film. This movie was all filmed in Japan, and I'm pretty sure it was actually in Japan because it had the settings and everything were amazing, like the backdrops and everything that the movie's set against. This is about a group of Americans that end up traveling, like I said, to Japan, and they kind of go out there but then one guy ends up buying this book, and it's sort of like he finds out like this kind of map book thing about this temple, and him along with the friends want to actually see this temple, but they kind of find out though there's a lot of like history behind this place, and there's like a curse behind it, and like people who have been there have been like blinded and stuff has happened to them, but they all really want to see this place. And the one guy though can actually speak Japanese, so that's how they kind of, because they got a lot of like known Japanese actors, like some ones that have been like in voice work and Ghost in the Shell, and a lot of like really known people in this, but they don't really speak English, so that's kind of how they had them in this movie, was he was speaking Japanese to them. So it's definitely a smart way of getting people in the film, but it's basically though them traveling to this temple, but when they get there it's sort of what ends up happening. But it's actually a pretty creepy movie. It has the feel of like something like The Grudge, like that kind of vibe to it. This one here is from Cinedigm. It's a movie called Shattered. And this movie stars Ray Weiss, and it's about this one woman who kind of ends up at this party and meets Ray Weiss, and Ray Weiss is like, it's like a real kind of rich kind of party, and Ray Weiss is like a character who has all this money, and he's like, oh, you should meet my son, you should really get to know him. And she ends up meeting this guy, and they kind of fall in love and end up getting married. But there's like something really peculiar about this family, and like Ray Weiss is always like yelling at the son, like, you gotta keep it together, you gotta pull this off right, and like there's like, what is going on here? And it like deals with them adopting this child, but then like the child is like really has all kind of like behavioral problems, and is causing a lot of problems, and like it's sort of like them sort of discovering too exactly who this kid is that they've adopted, and like going through all the stuff, why there's all kind of peculiar stuff going on with Ray Weiss's character behind the scenes in the son, and like there's something weird, and it's kind of like got a movie with a lot of twists and interesting stuff going on this one. This one here is from Camp Motion Pictures, and I love the cover of this one. It's called Ghastlies. This is a real throwback style movie to like a movie sort of like Critters, and they're sort of shot on video style vibe movies. And this one is about a group of these friends that are going out to this this cabin out in the middle of the woods, but they end up stumbling upon, there's like out in the woods though, there's like this kind of thing under it's like a crate kind of thing with like an underground kind of bunker, and the one kind of messes around with it and lets these creatures out, and they come out of the bunker thing, and it's kind of them coming after the people, and like they have some friends that come out to the cabin and getting attacked and killed by them, and they're the Popples kind of, the Ghastlies kind of look like the Popples a little bit, like these kind of crazy weird looking characters. The one thing I will say about this movie though is it takes a little longer than it should to get to the stuff happening with the Popple. I want to say Popples because they seem like them, but no, like they just takes a little longer than I thought it should to get to that part. But when it gets to that part, it's really fun and like crazy wacky stuff here. And like this is like, I think like the second or third Blu-ray release that Camp Motion Pictures has done though, but looks really great on Blu-ray. And this one here is from Troma. This is a movie called The Thingy: Confessions of a Teenage Placenta. This is a really crazy, peculiar movie, and it's like one of those ones that's sort of on the wavelength of something like The Greasy Strangler a little bit, because it's just like a crazy off the wall thing, and it's about like this like weightlifting kind of woman that gives birth to this baby, but the baby comes out, but then they end up keeping the placenta, and like she like raises the placenta like it's the baby instead of the actual baby, and like it's like this weird world where like they like the placenta. It's a really strange, and the placenta like starts growing, and it's sort of like Basket Case a little bit, because it's kind of like it has its own life, and they kind of raise it, and it's like going to school and doing things, and it's just a really quirky, peculiar, out there movie about all this stuff going on with this placenta. It's definitely like a total Troma vibe movie, and it feels like something that was kind of made like 1990 something or something. It feels like it's like a total like lost kind of film here, but definitely a really weird kind of throwback movie to a feel sort of like Basket Case. And the next ones here, one that you guys know are available from Time Life, and there are two new box sets here. And this one is the Red Skelton Show, Red Skelton Hour in color. This is the deluxe edition here. This has in here, like I said, you can get these on the Time Life website. This has a whole bunch of different Red Skelton things in here. It has the early years series of the show here, because this show went on for a really long time, and it had a whole lot of, you know, big celebrity guests and stuff. And it has this one set here, thing here that is the unreleased seasons, and these are the episodes that were in color. But there's all kinds of people that they had in this, like Tim Conway, Milton Berle, Phyllis Diller, Mickey Rooney, John Wayne. So they had all these type of people, and they have a bunch of different features on these as well. But this also has the complete 20th season in color, which is the last season of the show, as well as the farewell specials that he did, sort of the last ones. There's also a set here, which is all the Bob Hope specials. These were like the ones when he would perform for the troops. And this is Thanks for the Memories. And this is a box set as well from Time Life, and it has in here though a booklet with like some pictures and all kinds of stuff about Bob Hope, and about the stand-up, that he did for the troops, because he did that for years and years. And this has in here though the Bob Hope, the TV legend. And this has in here like appearances from a whole lot of like all these kind of different people in here, like Red Fox, Steve McQueen, Soupy Sales. He had like everybody you could imagine had gone in these specials, but these are like a really big set here of all the specials in here together. And there's also Entertain the Troops, this set in here, this one here as well. And this one is the collector's edition. And I don't think any of these have been available. I believe this set here, Thanks for Memories, this special here, had been available separately. But I don't know for certain if these ones had been released separately. They also have in here the Dean Martin roast set here, which these are really fun, kind of crazy roasts. And this one has some of the stuff on here with Bob Hope, some of the Bob Hope segments on this. But just wanted you guys know that these ones are available as well from Time Life, so definitely check the website as well. You can find out more about these ones, but definitely some really cool sets here. But anyway though guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.